what would you advise a producer early in their career if they're getting ready to do their first project? From everyone's on the podium's experience, what would be the key thing that you would like them to think about or know before they got started? And I'll start with Chris because he's looking right at me as if he wants to say something.
First-time producer.
Yes.
So assuming there's a script or a project with, whether there's talent attached or not, but assuming it's something that's good that people are going to want to make, what I would personally do and what I've seen in my experience is if you can attach yourself with someone who is experienced and has a name in the industry. So whether it's a larger producer who's produced 50 films, or you can, you somehow have a relationship with your agency through a particular piece of talent who's willing to be in that film. That's step number one that I would do, because especially if you're financing or trying to produce something in the independent marketplace, that you've got to have, you can't just, Miguel mentioned it's harder than it used to be. You've got to have something that, almost all international buyers want, and that's usually some unique niche or piece of talent, whether it's a director, writer, or actor, and that's what I do. And then that'll make it easier to get done. You'll probably give up a lot of whatever your upside might be on that project, but, odds are in most films there's not going to be a ton of upside for a first-time producer anyway, so it's not really that big of a deal.
So in a lot of ways, it sounds like do whatever you take to get it made.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Joe, from the bank's perspective.
Yeah, no, I would echo that sentiment. It does take a village. I guess it depends on the type of film that you'd be making for the first time through. But it is a guild system. So while this might be your first time to be able to associate yourself with experienced participants, which is one of the key criteria in underwriting that banks use to finance films, is a step up. The other thing I would add to that is just be realistic in terms of what might be achievable for a particular project or your particular involvement. Oftentimes, first-time producers will have the enthusiasm of also wanting to be the writer, the director, and the chief bottle wash off. So just avoid all of that if you can, and stick to the thing that you think is most achievable, and then use the momentum of having achieved that first step to build on that experience to the second, third, and so forth.
Great. Miguel?
Somewhat related, but a little bit different, I would say. My biggest advice would be flexible. And I think it's the writers and the directors that are most often the ones that are inflexible because they have a vision for what they want their movie to be, but sometimes that's the impediment. That's what keeps it from getting made, because you can't film something that everybody thinks should cost $10 million for 15. You can't, just things like that. If you need a star in it, but you're attached to a role that you wrote for someone, or you just need someone that's more marketable in different markets, things like that. Just overall, whatever it is, even with the finance plan, just take the advice of those that, the lawyers, the bankers, everyone that's advising you, and your agents, your managers. Be flexible and be willing to change your movie a bit to actually get it made, because it does you no good to just sit on the shelf.
Shirley?
I agree with both Miguel and Christopher. I think it's important to be flexible, find a mentor, stay humble, and keep the streaming rights.
There you go. Boom. Brian?
I think a lot of it has to do with know who you're speaking to. I think all of what was said was absolutely correct, but the really engaging with the people, do the research, know who you're going to talk to and what their business is. Do as much information search as you can, and then listen to them and figure out what they need in their business to grow it. Either it be an agent, an actor, a financier, a sales agent. Knowing their history and knowing their business and how you can complement their business is really effective, really effective. So it's research, it's knowledge.
Great. And Robert?
I think what everybody said is dead on, and I would just add to, you should know your material. Like, the most important thing you can do as a producer is find a script that you love, maybe make it better, work with the director or writer, pick them wisely, and then have a piece of material that's so good and so compelling, you were willing to torture yourself and lose sleep for years trying to get it made. And at 4:00 in the morning, when you hate your life and you're on set and you remember, gosh, it was only 5 years ago that I tried to get this made. And these guys will say, wow, that was record time, only 5 years. But the material is key, because from your material, you'll attract your talent. And be very careful with who you attach, especially when it comes to your director. And that the director you attach will gain the confidence of agents to attach their talent or to take a look at what you're doing, because it's not just the material you have in your hands, but it's the belief of the people around you of how that material will be executed. There's been a shift, as far as I can see, and maybe I'm wrong, you guys correct me if I am. It used to be all about the talent. Your foreign sales were almost completely talent-based. If you were in one particular genre and you had one particular piece of talent, your director was kind of important, but you had a basis to know what your numbers were going to be in pre-sales, and then you could figure the whole thing out. And there was a video business, all that contributed a great deal. In the studio world right now, more than the independent, but the independent world is right there, I think, with the studio world. Your director and your choice for director matters more now than I think it has in my last 25 years of doing this. You want to know it's going to be executed right, and the people who are helping you finance the picture are also going to want to know that what they're looking at is going to be executed the right way. And there's your value.